we just got out of a bubble in Orlando when we in the month of July we were there, and so there were a few poker nights, and I think I won one or two hands, so that part was good. Listen, I enjoy the game. I definitely enjoy the competitiveness and being able to read people and or at least try to at least. In terms of what guys were playing over in England, they weren't playing poker, and all I know is that there's a decent amount of money being exchanged between guys, and not one that I wanted to get involved in. I wasn't ready for that. But no, there have been some poker tables with our national team. With guys playing, and so yeah, we have a good time and a good laugh. When I was in high school, I'd done an interview with a local newspaper, and they had asked me the question what my ultimate goal was, and in the paper. And the only reason I know about this is because one of my college teammates, high school teammates, a few years later had sent me this picture with a quote, and basically I had said, my ultimate dream is to play for a European club, being over in England or in Europe in general, and just experiencing what soccer over there is like. And so I always knew that was the ultimate dream. Whether you get to live that dream or experience that is remains to be seen, especially as you're a young pro. But fortunately for me, I was able to get that opportunity, and I jumped at it with both hands.
I do want to just point out something that's pretty cool, because I did see a note that in the 2009 Peace Cup, that I believe Aston Villa won. I don't know exactly the teams that competed, but I think you guys won that. You won every game. You were the goalkeeper for one game that you didn't play. You lost. It was like an opening round, but you won the whole competition. And then, mistake me if I'm wrong, was it the finals penalty kicks? And you stopped Del Piero in the penalty kicks? I mean, because Del Piero, that's like, he's up there on the, growing up as like the guy, right? Like he was
for sure.
National team, like big as it gets, a big household worldwide name. And here you are, as a kid, you're in your backyard, you grow up, you're saving penalty kicks, and all of a sudden now you're winning tournaments and stuffing Del Piero. It's kind of surreal. Is that up there in your highlights, or what is your biggest highlight?
To be honest, I almost forgot about that. I mean, let me say this: the Peace Cup is like a preseason tournament, and so yes, we're playing in this competition, we're playing in this tournament. Any chance to win a trophy, you want to win it, of course. And yes, we're in a penalty shootout. The final game goes to penalties. Okay, Del Piero steps up. I'm not even thinking. I'm just kind of in the zone. I'm like this young kid wanting to prove myself to my team and be able to be counted on from that aspect. He ends up going down the middle. I probably end up freezing myself, and I stand there. I save the penalty, and I give like a fist pump, and I'm like, yeah, like obviously totally in the zone. And he's probably looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? Like, all right, relax, guy. It's a preseason tournament. Like, calm down, with everything that he's done in his career. But obviously it was a huge moment for me personally, but also from a team standpoint. So it was cool to be a part of that. No, I mean, I think you have to understand in terms of the bigger picture, but at the same time, like you said, being a goalkeeper and part of a team, people talk about the goalkeepers union and whether, there's 3 or 4 goalies per team, only one of you is going to play. But there's a camaraderie amongst ourselves that it's almost like a team within a team. And you've got to be able to deal with adversity. You got to be able to deal with the difficult struggles that come with the position, because ultimately when you make a mistake, more times than not, the ball ends up in the back of the net. And as we know, the Premier League is such a high level that, the difference in terms of the games and the quality, if that mistake is down to you, that's certainly not a good feeling. And so you've got to have a short memory when it comes to mistakes, when it comes to good things as well. You can't get too high, you can't get too low, and you've got to try to keep an even head about how you approach training, how you approach games, and always be thinking at the next play, the next game. There were 1 or 2 other teams that were talking, and ultimately I had gone in the January transfer window, but I didn't meet the requirements for a work permit, was denied a work permit, had to go back to LA, had to go back to Chivas. And the manager at the time, Martin O'Neill, had said, don't worry, we'll come back in for you in the summer. But in the back of my mind, I also realized that they're dealing with, that I'm dealing with a Premier League club, that they can select any player from around the world, that cost isn't an issue, that they can go and get someone now that will meet that requirement. But that was in the summer of 2008, and I was in Beijing for the Olympics that summer, and I had received a phone call while it was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, but I had received a phone call from the club secretary from Aston Villa saying, congratulations, you've received the work permit, and now the contract and everything can go through. So straight after the Olympics, I was on a plane to go to England and start training with Villa. Yeah, I mean, in terms of, how the contract structure, of course, when you go over there, you signed, I think my first contract was probably a 4-year contract. So you have the security, but at the same time, again, the financials for these clubs, it's not a big deal in terms of somebody makes a mistake, not a problem. We go out and buy somebody else. It was never about the money. It was never about the financial part of it. It was all about trying to perform and improve myself. Being an American, carrying that weight in terms of representing our country in the soccer elite, amongst the soccer elite. That was something I didn't want to. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to let down anyone back home, and I knew that it was going to be hard. It was going to be a lot of hard work day in and day out, but it was something that I knew would be worth it. And I wanted to continue to push myself. And, yes, you want to build a family. We were lucky enough to be able to do that, being over there. And we settled into to English lifestyle quite easily. I think if there's any country outside of the United States, England is probably it that's closest to the US in terms of just, the daily life of what to expect. They speak the language. You can get certain American foods and little things at the grocery store that make it feel like home. So that part off the field was pretty easy to transition into. No, I mean, it was devastating. Plain and simple, wasn't good enough. And we're a country that, as I said earlier, right, we have progressed. We've grown as a league. We've grown as a country. Our national team certainly has grown. And to not qualify for the World Cup, it was devastating for us that was a part of that group. Obviously for the fans, for the entire country, it was terrible. And there's no other way to put it. And what I will say is, on the back of that, now we've started to see quite a few young players start to emerge, and continue now to move that bar forward with performances in national team games, whether it be friendlies or Nations League games. But also now you're starting to see these individuals that are moving, as you mentioned, Christian, Tyler Adams, Reina, Weston McKennie. Serginho Dest is, I think today he's probably going to be unveiled as a Barcelona player who just moved from Ajax. So American players are leaving their footprint in Europe and not just going to be a part or be a squad player, but are really going in and being a part of a first 11 of major European clubs. I would say that the greatest accomplishment so far for me would certainly be being able to be selected and represent our country. When you put that jersey on, when you pull that crest on top of your heart, to represent our country in major tournaments, I've been very lucky. And I still remember my debut down in Frisco, Texas. I was a bag of nerves, and I don't think I'd ever been that nervous for a game. And so just to represent the United States and on the world stage, a dream come true for any kid.
Kick childhood cancer. I think that's something your initiative you're involved with, the MLS is involved with over here. And could you maybe just say what that is exactly?
Yeah, for sure. The month of September is Childhood Cancer Month, and trying to bring awareness. And so I believe it's $25 every time the hashtag Kick Childhood Cancer is tweeted out. And so in partnership with Continental Tire. And so, yeah, just trying to bring awareness and when we're able to do things like this and because of obviously COVID, but normally we would be going out to hospitals, visiting with kids, engaging with them face to face. trying to bring a smile to their faces in such difficult times that they're going through, whether they've already beat cancer, they're fighting cancer, or have just been diagnosed. So yeah, that's something that's close to my heart, but also close in terms of what the league's trying to do as well.